Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our chats with Emily as we are calling our readings through the Johnson edition of the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We turned out a poem, 97, The Rainbow Never Tells Me. It's a wonderful little poem that is going to play all kinds of resurrection motif games, the phoenix, the rebirth that we've seen already in a number of Emily's poems. Now our assumptions are that you've been hopefully following our stuff at LearnStrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. I'm hopeful that you've been introduced to our introductory set of comments, and I'm hopeful that you've been following our preceding lectures. We've worked poems 1 through 96. We just finished with Sex and My Master Sleeping. Now the great biographer Wisher points out in This Was a Poet, on page 297, in his referencing a bit of this poem. He says it this way about Emily: few poets, quote, few poets have cared so much for mental honesty, end quote. For me, this is one of the reasons why I place Emily in that genius category, because like Dante, like Shakespeare, like Milton and Chaucer and others, she was always about this mental integrity, this honesty. She had an eye. She was always trying to look. And therefore, juxtaposing what? Well, nature in some regards, and the natural, versus the, we might call it philosophic, the dialectic between the head and the heart, however you wish to do it, and the epistemological fallibilism and sometimes skepticism that would attend that kind of project, as we've commented already in a number of earlier poems in our study. The rainbow never tells me. Let's just enjoy the reading of the poem. The rainbow never tells me that gust and storm are by. Yet is she more convincing than philosophy. My flowers turn from forums, yet eloquent declare what Cato couldn't prove me, except the birds were here. Now, I love how this poem is going to resurrect one of the ancient questions, beginning obviously with Socrates. Some have argued that it even kind of culminates in a poem by Wordsworth called The Rainbow. My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky. So was it when my life began, so is it now I am a man. So be it when I shall grow old or let me die. The child is father of the man, and I could wish my days to be bound each to each by natural piety. That notion that there's things that nature and children can teach adults if only we would listen. This notion of the rainbow is, for us, going to be mentioned in poem 64. We've already seen it, and then 8 more times after this. So the rainbow is a symbol, obviously, and obviously takes us back to the Noah story in the book of Genesis, right? The phrase never tells will take us back to 91. In other words, what can I know, what can I not be told? The rainbow never tells me that gust and storm are by. In Hope is the Thing with Feathers, we'll hear about how Hope stands in the middle of the storm and continues to sing as a little bird. That is to say, the rainbow never actually informs me that the storm is past, but I can witness it because the rainbow is there. And then the word yet. Yet she, notice rainbows now being personified as she, is more convincing than philosophy capitalized. By the way, in poems 502 and 1292, you can run those to ground. Take a look at how she plays around with this idea of philosophy. We're going to get to Cato in a little bit. In other words, there's this tradition that there's things you just can't understand without a certain kind of rational philosophic approach. And she says, I'm not sure about it. I have my doubts about philosophy, but I do know about rainbows. And I do know that rainbows prove that the storm came, the storm went, and so I'm okay. She'll say it this way now about the garden and her flowers. Notice it's my flowers. My flowers turn from forums. It's the only time forums gets used in all of her poetry. And when she mentions Cato, we understand immediately what she means. The whole notion of what the ability to communicate important ideas in the form of what speeches and the like, right? Forums. The exchanges back and forth. Of course, Plato will call it symposium, right? My flowers turn from forums, yet eloquent declare what Cato couldn't prove me. By the way, in 1929, when this poem was published, the word "to" was actually put in between "prove" and "to" and me. Prove to me, right? What Cato couldn't prove me, except the birds were here. By the way, Cato will get mentioned one other time in poem 102. I love this reference to the birds. Of course, this is the Francis of Assisi line that, in fact, he was teaching the birds. And I love what Eckhart Tolle says as he's giving once a famous speech on this, and the birds are singing at the center where he's talking. And he says, I think everyone got it wrong, that, in fact, Assisi wasn't actually lecturing to the birds were lecturing to him, and he was able to listen. And I think that's exactly what Emily is channeling here. She says, you know, Cato and all that oratory project is useful, but I think I like birds better, because what the birds have to teach me about life is a whole lot more, what would we say, simplistic, pristine, and I think that's the point in 2a, that nature, I think is her argument, will prove what logic oftentimes cannot prove. In other words, there's only so far that language can take you. And in the world that Emily lives in her honesty, as Wisher was saying it, for mental honesty and acuity, a lot of times it's going to be translinguistic. There are no words to talk us through it. Philosophy can only take us so far. Maybe another message at 2a. At 2b, I love the trinity of the rainbow, the flowers, and the birds. Isn't that cool? That's how she plays the game of nature. At 3a, well, obviously we think about, Wordsworth's The Rainbow. We also think, obviously, about Emerson and Thoreau and the other transcendentalists who are constantly making this observation that, philosophy can only take us so far. And then we find ourselves there in that translinguistic state. I'm thinking now about our comments regarding Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass in Talks with Walt, where we did all the poems in the deathbed edition of Leaves of Grass. Do you guys remember when we did Song of the Open Road, passage 6? You'll remember he says, wisdom is not finally tested in schools. It can't be given from somebody who has it to somebody who doesn't. It has to be a process of experience. It's of the soul and all of that, he said. Finally, at 3b, what was a time in your life that nature proved to you what philosophy just couldn't prove to you? If you will, the birds sounded better than any speech you'd ever heard. Thank you.